the art world is about to witness a seismic shift, and it's not just about bricks and mortar. The National Gallery's bold move into modern art territory is sending shockwaves through the Tate's foundations, raising questions about identity, competition, and the very future of Britain's cultural landscape. This week, the National Gallery dropped a bombshell, a £375 million philanthropic windfall for Project Damani, an ambitious expansion that includes a new wing dedicated to art created after 1900. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just about space. It's about stepping into territory long considered the Tate's domain. Gabriele Finaldi, the National Gallery's director, frames this as a natural evolution. The story of painting is a continuum, he asserts, emphasizing the need for the gallery to extend its narrative into the modern era. And this is the part most people miss. The National Gallery and the Tate have announced a historic partnership, promising to collaborate on building the UK's world-leading national collection. But behind the scenes, this feels less like a handshake and more like a power struggle. Publicly, cultural leaders play nice. Finaldi, speaking on the BBC's Today program, was quick to downplay any rivalry, suggesting the 1900 cutoff isn't as rigid as it seems. Yet, the subtext is clear. This is a strategic move to assert dominance in the national art scene, especially as institutions grapple with how to engage audiences in the digital age. The Tate, meanwhile, has its own troubles. Visitor numbers have plummeted, with the institution blaming Brexit and COVID. But even before the pandemic, the National Gallery, focused solely on classical and Renaissance paintings, was holding its own against the Tate Modern in terms of footfall. Tate Britain, on the other hand, has seen a steady decline, its narrative of British art overshadowed by a somber focus on decolonization. For all the talk of collaboration, the National Gallery's expansion is undeniably self-serving, but it also sparks crucial conversations modern Britain hasn't fully addressed. How should taxpayer funds be allocated between historical and contemporary art? What defines British versus foreign art? And does one deserve precedence over the other? The Tate's identity crisis predates this announcement. Originally the National Gallery of British Art, it shifted in 1926 to showcase modern foreign art, particularly French Impressionism. Post-war, it leaned heavily into British art, sidelining international works, a stance that persisted until Nicholas Serota's tenure, when European and American contemporary art began to fill the gaps. Serota's attempt to clarify the Tate's mission by splitting the collection between Tate Modern and Tate Britain never fully resolved the tension. While Tate Modern thrived during the era of globalization, Tate Britain struggled, its curators often uneasy with the old stuff. British artists, too, seemed reluctant to be pigeonholed as merely British. The lingering question for Tate Britain has been, what makes British art relevant today? In a progressive art world grappling with colonial guilt, the answer has often been a shrug. Now, with the 20th century firmly in the rearview mirror, the National Gallery is challenging the Tate's claim to modern art. Beneath the polite rhetoric of partnership, one institution is positioning itself as the undisputed home of British art. And with £375 million in its coffers, the National Gallery is the clear frontrunner against a Tate struggling with deficits. But here's the real question. Is this a step forward for British art or a power grab that risks diluting both institutions' identities? As the dust settles, one thing is certain. The art world is watching and the debate is far from over. What do you think? Is the National Gallery's move a necessary evolution or a threat to the Tate's legacy? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments.